The Raven and the Legend at Holiday World are two of my all-time favorite wooden coasters. They are both super aggressive and fun, but which one is better? Today, I will be reviewing both of them through the method of comparison. Yay for uniqueness, woo! Let's begin. These are two CCI wooden coasters, and in some ways they're similar, while in other ways they're different. I have two rides on each, all of these in the back car. I don't feel particularly biased towards one or the other, so this should be pretty fair. Anyway, since stats mean nothing, let's get straight into the ride experiences. On Raven, you start with a drop before rising into a hill and turn, then another drop, then you turn over a lake. Next is another hill before a small drop, and this takes you back up before the final big drop, which is followed by some speedy turns through the woods. The Legends layout is quite different. You start with a curving drop, a little squiggle at the bottom, and then you rise into a smaller turn. Next, the train dips down and navigates a left-hand turn before rising up into a large curving drop. This sends you into a double up of sorts before you begin more turns. The first is an almost unbanked turn, which is directly followed by another almost unbanked turn in the opposite direction. This sends you into arguably the most insane part of the ride, a 630-degree unbanked helix. You then navigate a few small turns and one final 180-degree turn before hitting the brakes. Alright, let's get to the comparison portion. First up, let's talk about those drops. Both of these drops are actually very good. Raven's is smaller but has some good air, and Legends is larger with some good air and laterals. I do slightly prefer the drop on Legend since it is bigger and has laterals, but Raven's is far from bad. Legend will get a 6 out of 10 for this category, and Raven will get a 5 out of 10. Those scores may seem low, but remember that 5 isn't bad, it's just middle of the road. I've been on some drops that are better, and some that are worse. Next is a category in which both of these coasters massively shine. Laterals. Raven focuses more on laterals in the second half, while Legend is laterals throughout the entire ride. Raven's lats are crazy because of a few things I'll mention in later categories, while Legends are just crazy strong. The unbanked helix in particular on Legend is possibly the most out-of-control element I've ever experienced. Ravens are great and still warrant a very solid 8 out of 10, but the quantity and quality of Legends laterals give it an easy 10 out of 10 for this category. Next, let's talk about a different kind of force, this one being, of course, Airtime. Both rides have a few very good pops of floater to ejector. Legends are on its drop, double up sort of thing, and small turns before the brakes. Ravens are on literally every drop. Legend has some solid airtime, but none of it is really insane, and there are only a couple moments of it. Raven, on the other hand, has amazing airtime, and a lot of it. One of the drops caught me so off guard that it quickly became my second favorite airtime moment ever. Period. Occasionally on Raven, there's even a pothole on an airtime moment, which just makes it that much more out of control. Raven is getting an 8 out of 10 for airtime, and Legend will get a 5, which is still very good considering airtime isn't even Legend's focus. A coaster's location can sometimes really affect how you feel about a ride, so let's compare the two coasters' scenery. Legend starts by the water park, but it honestly feels like you're just in the woods. Towards the middle and end, you're not really in a forest or near anything all too scenic, so it'll get a 5 out of 10 for scenery and location. Raven, on the other hand, has an amazing location. The lift and drop are located right beside the entrance to Holiday World, so you can look over all of them before you enter the ride course. After that, there's a few drops and turns with little scenery, but then you enter a really pretty turn over the water. Following this is a couple more, not so scenic drops, but the ride finishes with a bang, speeding through the woods with no other rides in sight. It feels completely isolated. Because of the turn over the water, the drop by the entrance, and the turns in the woods, I'll give Raven a 7 out of 10. One of the most controversial aspects of any coaster is smoothness. You either love it, hate it, or really don't care about it. Call me crazy, but I'm giving both of these coasters a 10 out of 10 for smoothness. Let me explain. Yes, they are rough, but luckily for the coasters, I'm not giving glossy smooth rides a 10 out of 10. I'm rating their smoothness by how much it helps the rides. If Raven and Legend were glossy smooth, they wouldn't be anywhere near as good as they are. I love how rough these coasters are. The final truly comparable category is pacing. Both of these coasters excel in this category. Legend hauls through the entire layout with not a single dead spot. Every element genuinely feels like it's trying to kill you. Raven is the same way, but slightly less aggressive. Still though, these two CCIs have some of the best pacing I've ever experienced. I wouldn't call either perfect, but both Raven and Legend get a 9 out of 10. To finish up, let's talk about the overall ride experience of each coaster. Raven is a great, if not a bit short ride with some excellent airtime, solid laterals, and great scenery. Legend is a long, lateral-packed coaster that throws in a bit of unexpected airtime and is ridiculously intense. For me, Raven is a 7 out of 10. This is really only because of the length. If it had a few more elements, it could definitely be higher. Legend will be taking the higher 9 out of 10. There's nothing to not like about Legend for me, but I can't give it a 10 because it's not quite perfect. When we add up the scores, Raven has a point total of 54, and Legend has 54? It's a tie? Honestly, yeah. I really struggled to decide which coaster to rank higher. Both are absolutely phenomenal, but in the end, Legend earned the higher placement. However, Raven and Legend are directly back to back in my top 10, which really goes to show how they stand up incredibly well on their own. What do you think about these two rides? Do you praise them like me or hate them? Which do you find better? Let me know all that in the comments, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys next time.